We're here today with Denise Chavez, the author of Loving Pedro Infante, my favorite of your work, and the more recent Ataco Testimony. In your works, Denise, you employ Spanish as well as English. And since this is a course on bilingual literature, we're very interested in why you chose to include Spanish in your novels.
I'm Mexican-American. I grew up on the Mexico border, and that's the way I talk. Ahorita viene como en 5 minutes. Here it comes in 5 minutos. I'm very blessed to have 2 languages and to be able to speak them both every single day of my life. Not only with my family, with my friends. We also have a bookstore and an art gallery. And we forget that we're on the U.S.-Mexico border, and that Spanish and English and whatever languages that you want to say, Spanglish, are part and parcel of where we live. Also, where I live, it's very important to remember that we have our own language of the desert, the Southwest. So it's just very natural for me to use language as an expression. Some words come to me in English, some words come to me in Spanish. And there's a flow. It's not separated. I remember when my novel, Face of an Angel, came out, I had to work very hard with the New York publishing houses not to italicize the Spanish language. For years we've been reading Latin, German, French, and I felt, well, Spanish is a very natural extension of language as well. Why should we italicize it when it's just part and parcel of what we do and who we are and how we speak?
In one of your novels, you make the comment that your culture has suffered too much from translation. Yet in Ataco Testimony, you limit the amount of Spanish that you use and do translate, unlike in Loving Pedro Infante.
That's right. Well, and that came as an editorial choice. My editor asked me to do a glossary. I won't say that I limited, but I was aware because that's what the editor directed me. Although it wasn't a sense of limitation, it just is what it was. For example, in the new novel that I just finished called The King and Queen of Comezón, a comezón is an itch, literally. But it's also, in Spanish, a longing that can never be satisfied, an unfilled desire, that love that you lost, the fact that you never were a ballet dancer, whatever. The King and Queen of Itch. And from the very beginning, I battled with the title with my agent. She says, why don't you change it to the King and Queen of Little Mexico? And I said, absolutely not. It's the whole sentido, the spirit of Comezón, that whole itchy, twitchy little town where people are struggling to love and to be loved. But she asked me to do a glossary too, because whereas Face of an Angel, and even Loving Pedro Infante, which has more Spanish, this book is really charged. It's a heavy dosage of salsa, and it's hard to maybe sometimes explain concepts. How do you explain the concept of compadrasco, which to be a compadre, or what is to have a tocaya? A tocaya is somebody that has your same name. Tocaya female, tocayo male. Spanish is a language of relationship. And so to explain that to people, compadrasco, comadrasco, tocaya, tocayismo, what have you, and then to get into words that are like fregado, screwed up, messed up. And that's a gentle way of saying a word like that. So you get... I'm not even sure, but this glossary is enormous. And it's good, too. It was fun. Because if it helps people to understand and connect, I don't have a problem with that at all. But for those people that have the ability to move through language, and I think people are learning more languages. My husband is French and Russian. And my French is not great, but I go at it. He speaks Italian and a bit of Russian. And I think we're becoming more global people, and so we're going to see a revolution in literature. And I think that we're going to see more and more books. Yes, books, not Kindles. More books that have an interplay. And you see that already. You see people that are speaking more languages. In our little bookstore, people come in and they want a book. They want the same book in English, Spanish. I see more readers moving across the lines here, which is wonderful.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I enjoyed your comments a great deal, as I'm sure my students will. You're passionate about your writing, you're passionate about Spanish, and I want that passion to infect my students as well.
That's right. I think it's important for the students. I'd like to give them a word of joy and hope. Celebrate who you are. Celebrate your language, whatever that language is. Write in the language that you feel comfortable in. Let the words flow. If every family has its own language, husband and wives have their own languages. I have a little dictionary that I've written of my own words that I've invented and created. So when I leave this earth, I have my own dictionary. My husband and I have words that we've invented. Families have words, concepts. Students, I'd love to say to you, it's so important to know who you are, to stand firm on the ground that you come from. I'm from West Texas. My mother was born in Redford, Texas. At that time it was called El Polvo, the dust. So imagine going from the dust to Colonel Redford, Texas. So be who you are, celebrate who you are, and hay que seguir adelante, forward.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's great. Thank you.